All right, so looks like it might just be me on Newbie Tuesday, which would not be good. Maybe we can get Thecla on. Maybe Thecla wants to come help. This is my my sweet Tingo. That's exactly what happened, guards. It's the chair. Honest, it's the chair. Actually, no, I do like it. My other chair, I was sitting too deep in it. Like, yeah, I was forced to. I was like way back in my chair. But now with this chair, I'm actually sitting like properly, sitting forward, and I can. It actually has helped improve some of my gameplay. Currently in game Divinity. What is Divinity? Is this the right Finn? Yeah, it is Finn. All right. Oh. No problem. All right. So apparently Finn is not coming on today. He just responded to me saying that he has some guests that are stopping by in a minute, and he can't come on. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to, yeah. He said he's got some guests. So maybe they're all playing Divinity or something. The chair's vibrator, of course. Better. All right, so guys, we're gonna have to wing it today for Newbie Tuesday. And let's see. Yeah, Thecla, where you at, buddy? Thecla, you want to come on and talk to us about PvP fittings for either small scale or small scale groups and solo and how they differ? You're more of an expert than I am, as in I'm no expert. And bringing solo back. Is that still a channel? Bringing solo back was a channel back when Steve was playing, but now he works at CCP. If I can remember Skype password. Good luck, buddy. Lily's not a small scale PvP here. Yeah, Sutonia is good. Sutonia tunes in sometimes. What am I still doing? Yeah. Wait, who owns the channel now? Or did Steve get rid of it and let someone else pick it up? Hey, Ellen tried to throw me on the bus? Wait, what? Where? Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't play any consoles. Like, literally, the last game I played on consoles, I think, was probably Gears of War, the first one. Gears of War, the first one on Xbox, which, by the way, was an amazing game. He must have given it to Coverix. Yeah. The original creator of the channel was Steve, aka CCP Rise, and I believe he gave it to Coverix. Yeah, exactly. Like, Olarum has the worst schedule. Olarum, just start working from home like me. However, you probably could. You probably could do everything you do from home. Okay. So while I try to sort this out, let me just bear with me a minute. Okay. Call the Diplo. The working mic. Thecla, buddy. Actually, remembering your flip phone or your old cell phone, I'm not surprised that you don't have a working mic. Solo PvP's enjoying a renaissance? Oh, wow. Globby. Oh, Globby. $39 Cinnables? Jesus. Let's go ahead and fly back to Amar. I was just going to jump clone back, but we'll fly. While we're waiting, might as well fly. Oh, my destination's already set to Amar. Oh man, my Orthrus is here. No, stop. Hold on, Doc. Back up. Oh, speaking of which, I need to switch back to my Naga because that's where all my keybinds are for. We might go roaming around my Orthrus if we can't find anything. If we can't find some going, or if Thecla can't get his stuff working, we might fly around the Orthrus instead. We'll see. Okay. Chesser? Chesser is he online early? I would assume that he would be flying back home right now. He's set to red. Why is he set to red? I guess Warlords of the Deep is set red. Or maybe someone in the Alliance just really didn't like his commentating or something. I don't know. It must be its Alliance standings. Wait, no, Warlords isn't set red. Hey, Mock, it's corpse standings. He wasn't a bad commentator. All right. All right, he's in Sony Eve's easy channel at least. Laptop. Okay, yeah, Thecla, if you get it working, buddy, awesome. All right. We'll run mic tests so I don't whack your viewers' ears. Bro, don't worry about it. We'll just go with it. We'll do it live. EEIE Pub is Tony's channel. I really like Satonia. Satonia is super good. All right, so guys, we're gonna be starting off in just a minute. Sorry, guys. Sorry, I took you away from sharks for my guest to kind of to flake out a little bit. But he has company coming over or over already. Yeah, Thecla. Let's see. Where is my Twitter messages? There we go. I thought you were already on my Twitter. I might have been wrong. There you go. Thecla sent. I'm probably gonna have to look into some things. After Marquis Dragon got swatted, I'm actually a little scared. Gonna have to like hide my like personal IP when I get on Skype and stuff like that. Because I really don't like want to get swatted. That would just be embarrassing. However, I don't know. Like Marquis Dragon has made a lot of enemies. I think. So, and I don't even know if it was someone from the EVE community did that. Exarton, what's up, buddy? Good guys, Laz. I was like. All right, so there we go. All right, I think we get Thecla coming on now. All right, what's up, buddy?
Can you hear me?
Yes, we got you.
All right.
Let me.
Does sound anything tolerable?
Yeah, you sound perfect. Let me make sure that my audio output settings are right.
I haven't used this microphone in like a couple of months, so.
Sound. Talk now.
All right. Hello.
Wait, you're good.
Cool.
Yeah. And then we're gonna go ahead and bring Markonious Pork Button here. He is a lot better asking questions than I am, so he can help out. Yeah. So basically, we're just going to be talking about solo ship fittings and how they differ from small scale like gang fittings, and then basically how just some, I guess, decent 5-10 man comps that you would run around in for like low sec, maybe even some null sec. Not sure how familiar you are with the null sec meta at the moment.
Well, I followed the Provi War, so I did see some newish things there, I guess.
Mm-hmm. All right, sweet. And Marconi's Pork Butt should be here now. Can you hear us, buddy?
Hey, Laz. Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes, you're perfect. And you're on with Thecla. Thecla, low sec PvP expert.
Awesome. Well, I am a complete PvP noob. Wait, actually my oven's going off. Hold on. Let me go make sure my house isn't burning down.
Zart, no, there is no skill point requirement, man. You can join anytime. Hey Ting May, what's up? Alright guys, I'm gonna send our broadcast real quick, Thecla, and post on Twitter about the stream starting, and then we'll kind of jump into it.
Alright.
Let's see.
Mild bonus here is that due to having my laptop hooked up now, I can actually look at the chat and EFT and all that, because I'm one of these one-screen poors.
What? One screen? I've got 3, and I'm contemplating a 4th.
Yeah, I know.
Thecla.
Well, wasn't the pork butt who sent like chicken stock recipe to his alliance or something, or his corporation?
I don't know. It might have been because he used to be in Brave, and then he formed Karma Fleet and joined us. So I think he might have done that in Brave. I don't remember, but when he gets back, we can ask him.
Let me check. Leave. I was. Yeah, that's here on Reddit. Karma Fleet Mill League, cooking stuff with pork butt. and the image is in fact a chicken stock recipe.
According to chat, it did. Yeah, it was pork butt.
All right.
All right.
We were just
Crisis averted.
discussing your recipe that apparently is leaked onto Reddit.
Yeah,
Oh
your
yeah,
chicken
so
stock.
I made some chicken stock earlier today, and I just got done baking some chicken linguine
That sounds so
thing
good. I'm so hungry now.
in the oven, and yeah, it was a really awesome process. It looks really tasty, and I'm always here to support you, Laz. So I'm willing to forego eating to be here and not
You
be
can,
slurping noodles on stream.
bro. You just mute your mic when you're slurping. It's all good. Trust me. If it was me, I would not be stopping to eat. Like I love food too much.
No, it's all good. Well, I'm happy to be here because I really we had this idea for this show a while ago, and we were tossing it around. And I know that there's a lot of differences between fitting a ship for solo PvP versus fleet PvP. But I guess I have a question. If we just want to dive right into it, Laz,
Yeah.
like, why are solo fits so different than fleet fits?
Well, the one main reason, I guess, is that you have to do everything yourself. You have to be both the damage dealer and the tackler, and the range control. That's also up to you. So you have to do everything in one package. And when in fleets, then you go to more specialized role.
Gotcha. So you're doing a lot more, I guess, like min-maxing when you're in a fleet. Like you want to get maximum range or maximum tank or maximum DPS depending on what kind of fleet you're flying.
A bit, yeah. You've in a fleet you focus more on like, okay, I'm just here to do damage, and you'll find
Right.
ships with just say micro warp drive, full tanks, full damage, and nothing else.
Right. Okay.
So
And
do
then with
certain
solo,
ships
it's
excel
about
better? Like,
Again?
do certain ships excel more at this than others?
Oh, absolutely. Like there's a couple of there's never a never, I guess, because well, there's people like Zayo who decide to solo people in carry seas and what's the T1 targeting
Mollus.
disruption?
the
No,
Mollusk.
the target disrupting. That's the crucifier. Yeah, crucifier.
Yeah,
Yeah.
We spent like a half hour discussing how to make a crucifier solo fit, which is super low damage. But if you find a turret ship and you manage to kill its drones, then yeah, you pretty much won. But
Well, there's some really popular, like, was it a Mollusk fit that was going around a while ago? That was like a 10 MN Mollusk that could just kite the shit out of stuff.
Uh,
I think the carries is better at it because well,
Carries,
you need a
yeah.
lot of damp power. There's the chokehold carries, which just damps people out and makes them completely unable to lock you. Controls range with like a web and a long point, and then just pokes them to death with drones and a total of maybe 80 DPS.
That just sounds incredibly annoying. Oh my
Yeah,
god.
dying to that is awful. I would imagine.
well, there's a video of Zal using it, and he actually, because he has so much capability to lock down the ship he's fighting, he's able to launch a mobile depot and reload his drones from his cargo into his bay while the fight's going on. Which, like, to anchor a mobile depot is what, like 60 seconds?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Just say oh things.
yeah. Zal's awesome. He's so much better than I am at EVE Online.
Yeah. In individual piloting, he's like excellent.
I just really I like watching the solo PvP videos, and to me it's one of those things where like I don't know if I could ever do it, but if I was gonna try to get good at it, what would you recommend being like the first steps to maybe try to get out there and start becoming proficient?
Well, if as long as you have like the basics in it down in at least like theory, like you know what a micro warp drive does, you know that it gets shut off by scramblers, you know roughly the like the optimal range of several weapon systems. If you get that basics down, it's really easy to just jump in. Like the main recommendation we do is like, okay, fit 10 of your preferred ship types, figure out a good fitting that it's like semi-capable at least at doing solo stuff, and hop into faction warfare space, because that's the place where you will find the most like density of possible targets.
All right, but if you talk about like finding decent, like make a decent fitting and stuff like that. What if you're like me and you're terrible at making fittings yourself?
Then you
Unless it's
start
for
streaming and ask people for advice.
okay.
That's
But
what you do.
is there any other places that I could go to actually find information on different fittings that are viable in solo PvP?
I guess there's like these fitting sites. I haven't checked Battle Clinic in ages, so I'm not sure how reliable that still is. There's like the Bringing Solo Back channel, for instance. There's like the Fragbox streamer channels, which is just filled with people who do solo PvP.
Mm-hmm.
There's probably blogs out there from people more capable than I am and better at writing than I am. And in general, just ask people, scour kill boards for, hey, I realized this guy is really good solo. Just check out his losses, see what he lost, and then try and figure out, okay, so he's fitted this like this. Why would that be?
The Osmium, I just looked in chat, guys. I linked in chat. Osmium, that's the only one that I know that's web based. I think there might be other ones as well.
Yeah, Osmium is one. Well, I don't use it myself, but I know of it, and apparently it's really easy to share. It's like you just send a web page address to another guy, yeah, and there's all the stats. Let me check. I haven't seen it for a while.
I'm looking. I know you can also go to Failheap, but Failheap, I think, has lost some of its shine lately. Like a lot of people. Yeah,
I don't think the Failheap fitting like subform is really active anymore.
Yeah, that's what I noticed too. Because I was looking the other day at fits, and a lot of the posts are really old.
Yeah, like there's been like 3 topics updated there in the last month.
Well, I always find that in this situation when there's a lot of outdated information, just because dealing with a lot of the stuff that we deal with new players, there's so much outdated information that's geared towards new players. You find it online everywhere. And what I've found is these channels, like you're mentioning, are actually a lot better resources than a lot of the out-of-game resources, because there's so much that changes with the meta every day. If you can find an active channel that's dedicated to something like solo PvP, I think players are going to get a lot more help with information that's a lot more relevant than stuff that they might find. Like I don't use Battle Clinic, and I don't really go to a lot of like out of game websites
I haven't used
for
Battle
info,
Clinic.
just because it seems like it's so old by the time you get there.
If you check a fitting on Battle Clinic, you actually have to really know, okay, this fitting was posted in 2007. Maybe it's not really that actual.
Exactly. Like you if you like were to go in and Google like I'm looking for a really awesome like solo battle cruiser, it's gonna pop up like you should try the Navy Drake, and it's like what the hell?
Yeah.
It's a really bad idea to just use Google in that situation. But if you do, I guess you're right. You know, use context and know the context of like the release dates for ships and the meta, which can get really mind-boggling if you're a new player.
Yeah, I'm not. Probably they don't do like solo fits, but I believe like EVE University does make an effort of keeping their fits up to date, the ones that they share in their wiki. So that's something.
I think eUni has a really massive job in trying to keep all their stuff up to date, but it seems like of a lot of the publicly accessible resources, is I think a really great place for players to start. Somebody just said in chat that Reddit also has a fitting sub. Have you ever checked that out? I haven't checked it out.
I never didn't even know it existed.
I didn't even know that it existed. No.
Hey, we all learned something new today.
And also, Mukun says he just prowls Fintaro's lost board. You can do that. You can definitely do that, but you better have deep pockets if you're prowling Fintaro's lost board.
Yeah, Finn likes to fit shiny the last couple of months, and plus several of its fits and even others are probably a little bit like demanding because they're extremely low tank, for instance, or they only really operate if you have like mid-grade snakes, that sort of stuff. So a couple of its fits could be like advanced stuff.
Okay.
Is it possible to solo PvP without implants? Because that's something that, I mean, that's going to be like a major dent in a new player's pocket if they're going to have to spend,
Absolutely
50 to
possible.
100 mil per clone.
Yeah, absolutely possible. A lot of people actually go out solo, especially if they go to nullsec with an empty clone, or maybe just like a 1% fitting implant, something really affordable, won't be costing
Yeah.
you more than 2 million ISK or something.
I use empty clones most of the time. That way I can
Yeah.
just die and go back out.
Yeah, that's the main
Yeah.
argument. Okay, I lost my ship. I'm 15 jumps from where I was. Just I let my pod explode. Immediately return to where I've got all my ships. Jump in a ship. Go back out.
Yeah, well, also like it's for someone learning how to PvP, and I'm learning how to solo PvP again as well. So it's a thing. It's a thing.
Mhm.
Like you have to, if you go out there and attack one frig, die, and come back, and just keep doing it over and over again, you'll slowly learn more and more.
Yeah.
I've come a long way since I started streaming.
Yeah, well, you will have to like. It will help a lot if you take the time to like look back at say you lose a fight and you look back at why was this? Did even if you get super blobbed, like okay, could I have seen this coming? Should I have been checking directional scan a little bit more often? Did I see a lot of the same corporation guys in the local channel? That would also point to okay, if I engage this guy who has 10 friends in local, should I be taking this fight in my low damage ship? Well, those sort of things all weigh into it.
I see. Looking at chat. What's up? This is One Crazy Monkey. By the way, I saw your email. I'll reply to it after the stream.
Oh, this One Crazy Monkey's back. Hey,
Yeah,
dude.
man.
I love that
Simukun
guy.
also linked Eve Fit Finder. Never heard of that website, but it looks actually decent. Here, let's see. Let's look for a Tristan on Eve Fit Finder.
I gotta say though, like you kind of mentioned it in passing, but I think it just bears mentioning again. Looking at people's kill boards and looking at the fits that they're using specifically, I think is one of the most helpful things as a newer pilot. If you're trying to learn, like if you're out there in low sec and faction warfare or roaming around null sec and you get caught on a gate and you decide to engage and all of a sudden you're dying to like this solo kestrel or something. And you're like, why is this kestrel killing my, harpy? I think the best thing you can do is to go on to Z Killboard, look up that guy,
Yeah.
look up
You
what fits
probably
he's
lost
using.
something of the same fitting, like
Right.
early in the week.
Yeah, because a lot of the people that are really good at solo PvP, it seems like your motto has to be like try again, because you probably have to lose quite a few ships before you learn how to pilot them.
Yeah, I'd say there's a slightly other approach as well, because well, this is like jumping in at the deep end, just getting a bunch of ships that you realize okay, the fitting is at least all right, and then just jump in. You can also tag along with like a couple of buddies, maybe one guy who's very experienced and a couple of others, and then just roll around space, and then you will pick up like piloting basics, which are super handy in solo engagements.
Yeah.
Like when to not orbit, when to manual pilot, when to engage, when not to engage, all that sort of stuff you pick up.
And for what I've noticed lately in low sec though, is you're not gonna find as many solo PvP fights anymore. The past times I've been streaming Eve for the last 3 weeks, I think I've found maybe one 1v1 fight, and everything else has been at least 3 versus me. So roaming around with some friends anyways is going to help you build a little bit more confidence and, like you said, practice some of your skills.
Yeah, has to be said that like that shifts a lot. Like every couple of weeks or couple of months, then somehow one area of faction warfare space is just completely filled with small gang, and then maybe the other side. Say Mimitar is full of small gang, and then you maybe find that Galante is completely deserted, and maybe there's a couple of guys there. So
because the meta in faction warfare always changes. I mean, people are going to join whatever faction they can farm the most and get the best LP rates for, right? So that's going to be the one that you're probably going to get blobbed from.
yeah, Well, of course, faction warfare space is also filled with people who aren't there to do faction warfare stuff, but just to profit from the fact that there's a lot of people there in semi-engageable ships. But the meta itself, like what you will find in space, has been shaken up tremendously. Like the dictators, when the dictator changes came, then you saw suddenly a ton of heretics, and then especially impactful was drone changes, like. Then suddenly Tristan became super popular. The hull rigs. Then suddenly you saw a lot of hull tanks, comets, for instance. Then
the whole thing, the comments are still super good. Like they're still super in the meta.
They're super nice. And then tech-free destroyers came out, and you saw them everywhere. They were really affecting like what you could fly. Garmers as well. Garmers has been taking over the role of the kiting condor there.
With light missiles?
Yeah, that like when the Garmer first came out, you saw a ton of light missile Garmers. But of course, the best way to fly the Garmer is double propulsion, rockets, scram, web, armor tank. Let's
see. They're looking and to jump back to one topics we mentioned earlier, meaning looking at other pilots' kill boards. To throw a couple names out there, guys, that I look for whenever I'm looking for PvP fits. I look at Satonia. I look at Fintaro. Look at Sardcade. I look at Zal Amadeus, which Zal doesn't play as much anymore.
He's back to university or like school, so a lot of time there.
And also, trying to think who else I look at. Kovarex, but I don't think Kovarex plays anymore.
I don't think Kovarex plays anymore now.
But Kovarex, actually, if you look at Kovarex kills, the Omen, the Navy Omen he used to fly around with, is still a really, really, really good fit.
His Navy Omen fit has become a classic. Like, it's one of the premier anti-tackle ships, I think, still in like smaller gang engagements.
Yeah, if I can, let me see if I can find it real quick for you guys.
Yeah, and I think that all came after his video came out where he featured the Omen very, very heavily.
Yeah, that's
which is another way, because solo PvPers are the other people who are most often just making PvP videos, and often you will see a PvP video, see some guy doing extremely super like improbable things with a ship. Okay, often they will show like I'm not using links or I'm using links or what sort of implants. You can figure out the fitting he runs, and then you can figure out, okay, this is how it works and this is why it works, and then you can try and imitate.
Yep, and I'm grabbing. I found the link now. I'll drop it in chat. Sorry for cutting you off there, pork butt. There you go.
No, I was gonna say one of the things that chat was bringing up a bit was just how much the meta has changed over the last year because of this introduction of the T3 destroyers. I'm noticing that if you just go on Z Killboard, it's pointing out like the top two ships right now, I think, are the Swipple and the Saber. So apparently, is a Saber making it? Hey, look, I mean, that's what it's saying in chat. I'm going right now. But yeah, it looks like the destroyer is
the tech-free destroyer is in a really good place. That's for sure. But the Saber, that kind of points more towards that's being involved with a lot of nullsec kills.
Well, I know that who is this guy? He used to haunt us when I was in Brave. He came out to catch all the time. I don't even remember if he was in PL or NC dot, but he would sit on a gate solo with a Saber and catch people, and just, I mean, he ate probably 100 frigates a day. Like, it just was ridiculous.
Well, I mean, if you ignore the fact that the Saber is usually found with a bubble launcher on it, you just forget about that bonus it has, and you fit it for like autocannons, like a beefed up Thrasher. It shreds frigates. It completely destroys them. And you even saw that like 2 Alliance tournaments ago. The Saber was one of the premier anti-frig ships used in that sort of Alliance tournament meta as well.
Yeah, I'm just looking at the top ships, right? I'm not exactly sure how Z Killboard gets the top ship math, but I mean, just right now it's like Swipple, Saber, Stiletto.
Saber, I would say that's mostly used to null sec. Stiletto as well, because that's primarily a tackler. Like it's hard to do like a solo stiletto because its damage is solo.
Yeah. But I mean, you have like Malediction, Confessor, and other stuff. All cruisers and down.
Well, I mean, the Saber, like I said, even with the bubble launcher, it's a really good ship for catching frigates. Unfortunately, with the you used to be able to catch interceptors, and like you would with the delay bubble and everything like that, you could easily kill people with the Sabers. But with the bubble immunity now, you can't. You don't get as many kills with the Saber, which is why I'm surprised to see it so high.
Yeah, I mean, for the damage output, like I don't know if I would really want to risk it if I didn't really know what I was doing very well compared to some of the other ships that are out there. You know, if you're just going to use it like a Thrasher, it's a mighty expensive Thrasher to throw out.
Yeah, I mean, sure, if you're still starting out, or if you're super rich, then of course it's no problem. The Thrasher
Smokey Bear
is still a good fit.
It wasn't minus 93. I can't remember who it was. Gosh, I feel terrible now. I'm probably gonna wake up like at 3 o'clock this morning and be like, that's the guy. Yeah.
The problem with that right now with interdictors is they used to have a really, really big role in anti-frigate PvP, but now you have the Thecla destroyers, which are cheaper and more effective, and so you're kind of seeing interdictors falling out of place, as well as assault frigates, for that matter.
Yeah.
You don't see any assault frigates.
You guys brought like Swipple fleets to the probing campaign, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Which we fit them wrong for what we were fighting against. They were armor fit, so they couldn't keep up with the Cerberuses and stuff they were meant to be tackling and everything like that. So we should have went shield fit there. We learned.
Yeah, but I would imagine that's also why they're so high up on the Ezekiel chart, because they're great in low sec PvP because it's a really versatile ship.
Okay, so that's a really interesting ship to talk about, Laz. I mean, the Swipple is probably one of the most widely used solo PvP ships, but yet we were trying to make it into a fleet PvP ship. So how, like, that is the same ship doing two very different types of PvP. So what are the differences there? Like, how are you fitting it in solo, and then how are you trying to make it work in fleet PvP?
Well, I can't really talk about solo. Thecla can probably elaborate more on the solo part. But in fleet PvP, the artillery is super good because artillery is able to choose your damage types, and that's the biggest benefit of the artillery over any other weapon system in the game. However, it does have a slower rate of fire, which you kind of run into. But whenever you're using the Sweeples, you're looking at alphing ships off the field. So if you land on top of like a hostile logistics group, then you're just instantly tearing apart logistics, while your main DPS fleet is DPSing down the DPS. So
no, for like the total newbies out there, like what are you meaning when you say like landing on top of a ship and alphaing it?
Oh, with the ability to probe and fleet warp, you just probe out a logistic ship with your probes, and then you right click and fleet warp your Sweeple fleet right on top of their face. And that way you can immediately start alphing ships, which is what alpha is. You tell all your ships to fire at once, and with artillery, because of how high the alpha is compared to its consistent DPS, or the alpha volley as in the initial shot of the weapons, you're able to instantly kill a ship before reps are able to land.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
you're just trying to max artillery in that situation and then bring all of your guns to bear at the same time on a target before Logi reps can land, essentially. And then how would you fit that for solo?
Completely different, because those artillery Swipples, they don't fit any tackling mods. They have,
it's all tracking, right?
Yeah, tracking damage and tank, because the tackling is usually left to an interdictor dropping a bubble right on these poor logistics who are getting volleyed off the field. And in terms of the Swipple in like solo PvP, you need tackle. You need tackle 100%. You need a scram and a web, most likely. If you go like a weirdish artillery solo Swipple, then yeah, you can do a long point. And then you did you ever like experience the RT Wolf?
Yes, I remember the RT Wolf. I remember people used to belt rat with RT Wolves.
Yeah,
because they were also good, for taking that solo fight as well.
Yeah, you can do that principle kind of like it's full on with the damage, and it only relies on a long point to make sure that the target doesn't warp off. But the swivel itself is super like flexible. You can make it a shield swivel. You can make it an active shield swivel. You can make it an armor swivel. And like
Now,
say
what do
if
you
you
mean when you say like an active, like when somebody says like this is an active armor ship or this is an active shield ship? Like, what do you mean by that?
passive would be that you just have hit points and you have no way on your ship to recover those hit points. So you put on like say armor plates and resistance for that armor.
Mhm.
Or
Gotcha.
and an active would be that you have some way of recovering HP on your ship, say a shield booster or an armor repair.
So
And
a Swivel can kind of do it all then. Like it can be
yeah,
passively tanked, it can be actively tanked, it can have arty, it can have autocannons, it can do
it
long
can have
range, it can do
shield fit.
short range.
Yeah, it can have a shield fit, which has its pros and its cons, and it has then you can do an armor fit, which has its pros and its cons. So super
That's
flexible
pretty
ship.
crazy.
And I saw in chat, guys, not to jump off the football for a second, but mention about the Ishtar, what we thought about the Ishtar's rework. It's actually a really, really, really good armor brawler now. So it's pretty crazy. And you also have, what, I think it's three mid slots still.
They go from 5 to 4 mid slots.
I'm looking. Yeah, four. It's 644. So yeah, so you still have four mid slots, which is plenty for an armor ship to be able to fit some sort of E-war as well as tackle, or tackle and a cat booster. So I mean, you have a lot of options with the Ishtar now for an armor brawler, but it does have decent starting resist if you look here. Armor resist 50, 67, 83, and then 10. So I mean, as long as you plug the explosive hole, you have pretty easy time there.
Yeah.
Is there any kind of like ship fitting theory that you guys try to go off of when you're trying to make these fits work for whatever role you're trying to use them for?
Mm, can't say there's like a pure method for when I try and tinker with fittings. It usually does start with, okay, let's put the biggest guns possible on this, the most damage, and a damage control, and go from there. Oh, and a propulsion module, of course. Then
Yeah, that's where I start out as well. It's prop mod, guns, and then damage control. Once you get those on, that's when I typically look at filling in the slots.
So that's a really helpful thing. Like as a new pilot, it took me forever to really figure out how to fit a ship for what I wanted it to do. There are so many options and it was kind of overwhelming. And I did get used to the fact of like, okay, well, certain hull types are going to be bonused for certain types of guns.
mhm,
But it really took me a long time to figure out, okay, well, the math says that your weapon system and your propulsion system are going to be taking up the most of everything. And so then you just kind of have to work around that for the rest. Is that sort of so that's how you're approaching it?
well, I do start with the biggest guns possible, the most damage, but I often find myself downgrading to say from neutron blasters to ion blasters on a fit because it just offers me more space to do useful things with.
Yeah.
So say if I'm running out of grid to do the active tank that I want on that ship. So okay, so I sacrifice a little bit of damage by going down on the caliber of the guns, and then it becomes a more balanced package in that sense. There's one thing I wanted to come back to the Ishtar. So the Ishtar was balanced time and time again because it was super oppressive in fleets. It was just everywhere. It did a lot of work, and there was a lot of complaints. But if you look at the Ishtar back then from solo,
Mm-hmm.
it was still a good ship, and it wasn't overpowering. It was super flexible in terms of what you could fit on it and how you could fit it. You could do like a double web on it for really strong control. You could do newts, that sort of stuff. But for purely from that perspective, it wasn't unbalanced. So that's one of the challenges the CCP guys run into as well. So the ship is excellent in solo, but it does nothing in fleets or the other way around.
Yeah, the
And
problem is if you have a really really good solo ship, then a lot of times that is going to expound into being a really really good fleet ship as well.
I can see that, but in probably most cases.
Well, what about like I don't know if the drone changes are still where they are, but it seems like for a while people were using worms really heavily, and
Mhm.
you used to see like worm fleets that would go out of nullsec and just completely annihilate people. Is that something you still see around? So it's like one of those ships that can you do that solo in a worm? You see those?
The worm isn't is it that's another interesting point we get to there. Well, the worm is a strong solo ship, and you can uh, do it could go a couple of ways with it. Even you can ignore the rocket launcher it usually has, so you can fit more stuff to it. But the fact is, the worm is well, it's still around. If you run around low-sec areas, you will still find worms, but it has a reputation of being strong, maybe
Mhm.
even too strong. So
Mhm.
people are not really willing to engage you. So
Gotcha.
if you're running out into space in a ship which is deemed super overpowered by the people of Eve, then you will not be finding that many fights.
Well, the people that do fight you either know they can beat you, or they
They
so
have like an ace up their sleeve, like
right.
ACM
Hmm.
or a group of friends.
Yeah, so Leet McFeet made made a really good point calling us out on this is great if you have like level 5 skills and everything, but you're not going to as a new pilot, you're not going to be there yet. And we do need to kind of shift back towards like if you're a newbie, and you want to work up towards a worm, maybe some ships you should start looking into would be like I don't know, what would you want to start with if you want to say, okay, I want to get fives and a lot of things and then fly that overpowered worm? How would you start gearing towards that? And with a
Mm,
lot of ships too, like there's,
yeah,
going to be a really high powered version of something, but you might want to take like some smaller ships to get there.
yeah. Well, first of all, what I did do like a couple of months ago is go over every Tech 1 frigate in the game and try and make a accessible version for it, which would do well in either like a smaller group of people or solo.
Oh, we
And
should
these
link that
fit.
somewhere.
Yeah, I have it. I have it in a list somewhere. Last, I did send it to you like a couple of months back. Yeah,
Yeah, I think it's on the email. I can try to dig it up real quick.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I probably made these fittings for with like the benchmark of this should be flyable at 2 million SP or lower, and this should not cost 10 million ISK or more. So in that sense, yeah, yes, you will have a disadvantage of some sort, but if you're actually better in theory, you know what
Hmm.
you're going into, you know your strengths, your weaknesses, then you can absolutely beat a more veteran pilot. You're just taking the engagement smarter than him. But
Yeah, there's a guy I met who he wants to get really good at missile boats, and so he got like 50 Kestrels, and is just he's doing nothing but flying Kestrels for like the next month,
mm,
till he feels like he's mastered it.
I would say uh, that's one approach. I would probably tell him to not just fly the same Kestrel fitting.
Fly
There's a
different
couple of
ones.
ways. Yeah, even like a couple of months ago, that was on the O7 show. They showed that's brawling Kestrel with the
Hmm.
rocket launcher. So that's a good fit. We can also do a light missile fit, for instance. And if you're like, oh, okay, I want to fly missiles. Missiles are the coolest weapon system. You should really look at the Breacher, the Mimitar frigate, because
Breacher is really good, super good.
that's
What?
it's a
Yes.
really nice little brawler. And the advanced fitting for that maybe is a fitting that has both a medium ancillary shield booster and a small ancillary armor repair.
I think one of the things that would make all of these fittings in life just so much easier is if there's a way that you could buy fittings in bulk.
Mhm.
Like it'd be so like you can do that in Dust. Like you can fit
Well,
your guy out and then you just buy the fit and everything appears in your, inventory and you just
Well, I mean, there's the quick bar.
have you been following the Alliance tournament, specifically this
vaguely.
Sunday? Okay, Sunday, our dearest friend CCP Carker was there, and she
Yes.
showed a couple of things regarding the ghost fitting project she's been working on with a couple of her team. And one of the
What?
options that was hiding in that little video they showed was a option to mass buy that fitting.
What? That's what I want. So where is this? Link this video. I really want to see this now. I
I think
think
See,
there's
it's
people in the
what
stream
what
that
I'm
probably really want to see it.
what I'm worried about the mass buy thing is how are they going to make it so that you don't get killed? Like
you don't get
get
ripped off.
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, but I think that's something that's addressable, and it could warn you. Okay, this is like the same way you normally buy stuff. If you're not stupid, then you should not buy
Mm.
a shuttle that's costing you 9 billion is.
Mhm.
Well, maybe like what if you could like set the amount that you're gonna spend on this module, almost like you're making like a buy order, but just for an entire fitting, and then
Yeah,
that way you just post it up there, and when people sell it for that and it meets it, and you just go ahead and it automatically appears.
yeah. I'm
Be
sure
pretty
you can
cool.
find you can find solutions for that, but that would make life a lot easier for everyone, and
Mhm.
specifically people in alliances who do like the same fitting, the alliance level fitting, the doctrine fit. People who do alliance tournaments, like practice fits, because you chew through ships in alliance
Yeah.
practice. So
I think I would probably honestly pick up and try doing solo PvP if it just weren't such a pain in the ass doing fittings.
mhm. Well, and in terms of the video, I think it was like the first hour of the Sunday broadcast of the uh, alliance tournament.
Oh, so it wasn't
Yeah,
like a separate video. It was during the
yeah, it's during the
broadcast.
Yeah,
broadcast. You should
yeah.
probably
She
Oh,
was
go
she
to.
okay.
was a guest on the desk, and then you just had a little bit of a chat with what's coming up
Mhm.
from
Okay,
her.
so what we got to do is everybody has to tweet her and be like, "Hey,
Yeah,
we want to
it's
really see this fitting video that you were showing off. Can you please
Well,
release
it
it?"
might be in the past broadcast for the CCP channel.
yeah, it
Okay.
is. It should be there. So that's
CCP.
that's from the Sunday. So it's Sunday the 30th.
I'm looking. I'm looking. You guys keep
Yeah.
talking. I'll find it.
Yeah, it's just I think it's really interesting how there's just so much variety to what people do and it seems like the solo meta is changing all the time. Do you feel that way? Like with the introduction of the changes with the T3Ds and all that other stuff, do you feel like there's always something new to learn and to catch up with?
It's rather fluid. I would think. I'm not as active of a pilot in terms of that, but I do follow it because people like Finteru or Sard, when he's not training for the Alliance tournament constantly, they would be able to tell you a lot more about that sort of thing. But
Yeah.
it does shift, but there's a couple of stable factors, I would say. So
It's like so like ships that will always be good until they like change what's
mhm,
making it good. Like
yeah,
worms
it
will
used to
always be strong
yeah
because it's just ridiculous.
yeah because the whole design itself is just really good because it's tanky and
Yeah.
high damage both.
See, it's kind of funny when you're doing fleet PvP and because you were saying how if you're in a worm and you show up somewhere on grid, people won't engage you because you're in a worm. Well, it's funny because when you're in certain uh, alliances that have certain reputations in the game and you show up somewhere on grid, people
Mhm.
expect you to have like 100, 200 other people right behind you, and so then you don't get engaged either. So
Yeah.
it is an interesting kind of dichotomy. The decisions people make before they take fights, it almost really does make you want to be like, we should just get rid of local entirely, and it could just all be wormhole space.
Mm. That's the main reason people run into that. Like, let's get rid of local argument. But I would always counter that with, say, I'm on my own. I'm running around whatever space,
Mhm.
and
Yeah.
I run into local. I first have to spend like 30 minutes figuring out if there's even anyone here, and then I have to figure out if they're engageable or not. That would make like solo roaming without having an intel network of some sort
Mhm.
just total pain in the ass.
Oh, but the emergent possibilities from that would be so amazing. And what if like you got to access local only after you got standings with whatever faction owned local in that area? That would be really cool too, right?
I would guess that's
Like, no,
maybe
that's
a little bit
horrible.
overpowered.
Well, for those of you who
I'm
just
just trying to bring solo back, okay?
well, for those guys who just missed it, I just if you have a fitting saved into your fitting management, a lot of you guys have seen me show this before, and you go to your quick bar, your market quick bar, you can click it and drag it in, and then it literally adds every single module and ship, and you can just go down the list and click and buy whatever you need.
Oh, also to throw it out there, somebody was saying check out the Eve is Easy channel on YouTube. But there's actually with YouTube they just released their gaming, uh, like YouTube gaming
Hub.
services, and
Yeah.
the Eve Online page actually is kind of like a great resource for anything Eve Online related you're looking for. So I would, if I had a link, I would throw it in there. Laz, maybe you can find it to that.
I haven't even looked at the new YouTube thing, but from what I've heard, they've had lots of issues with like trademark stuff,
Oh, really?
like DMCA's and stuff.
Uh-oh. I should probably check my channel then.
Yeah, well, that's what I heard. I heard there's lots of DMCA stuff happening with their stuff right now.
Oh,
Yeah,
no.
that's what I heard as well. That you shouldn't be streaming with music on really to YouTube.
Yeah.
But yeah, I will echo that Eva's Easy channel is a really good resource to have. And again, Sutonia, the name we mentioned before, and he was also in the Alliance tournaments the last day, is involved with that, of course.
Yeah, Sutonia is a really good guy. He's really smart. And if you look Eva's Easy, I think he run Eva's Easy now.
I'm not sure he runs it. I haven't actually checked and that sort of thing, but I know he's involved with it.
Gotcha.
All right, so guys, right now I'm just fitting up a Federation Navy Comet, which even though this is Newbie Tuesday, this fit is, I think you have to have max skills to fit it, unfortunately.
Yeah, but that sort of thing, if you have like a couple of million to spare, you can dump in like an implant, CPU implant, grid implant, whatever you need. And even you can then go, like if you go Genolutions to get maximum fitting juice out of your ship, then
Aren't
if you're quick,
Genolutions expensive now?
they're probably expensive because they're limited, but again, if you're in low sec, like the golden rule is, if you're in low sec, you should realistically never be losing your pod.
Unless you're
How do you save your pod?
Yeah,
that's a good question.
Not lose your pod. This is a great question.
Saving your pod in low sec
this.
saving your pod in local should be, or in low sec should be very much possible. Not
well, anytime there's not a bubble. Anytime there's not a bubble, really.
Yeah.
Okay, so you say that, but how do you do it?
The proper way probably is to realize I'm going to die within the next couple of seconds. I should probably be spamming warp 2 commands to a safe object in space, and preferably, if at all possible, you want to do that to not to a gate or whatsoever.
But not to the sun either.
Hey, Thecla, how lucky are you feeling?
Are you popping a drug here?
Yeah.
Well, invoke your inner Shardcade and get completely wrecked on the penalties. Yeah, I have a bit
yes!
of an nothing?
No, I got one penalty, but it doesn't matter.
All right. One thing.
Just see it on stream in a second.
Little bit of a tangent, but when I went through an old thread we had on the RB forums when Mangala was still in the CSM, and we were just dumping like suggestions at him, and so hey, discuss this with the devs, and this seems really nice to do, and that should be changed. And I found one of the old suggestions was there should be a drug timer. I went over that because was Jane, who is now in the CSM, is also looking for more small stuff, more for small suggestions to dump at CCP for the next meeting.
So like a drug timer that shows like how much time you have left on the
Yeah,
drug.
and what sort of penalties you have. Yeah, and
All right, so
that's
let's talk about drugs because you guys have been playing this game a whole lot longer than I have and a whole lot longer than a lot of our viewers have. But like, what do you like? You can't just go out there and take a drug, can you? Like, and well, first of all, what are drugs in Eve? I mean, get into
um,
this drug business you're talking about.
yeah. Drugs. Well, the official name is boosters,
Mhm.
and they're consumables. That they last for an hour, and they can give you advantages to certain stats for your ship. For instance, like increase the amount of shield boost you have, increase the amount of armor, increase this maximum speed you have. But there is a possible downside to them. If you use higher level boosters, you have a chance of getting a negative side effect. So you could be getting a penalty to your capacitor, for instance, or your armor HP could be lowered because you get this negative side effect. But they can be a really good addition to your ship. For instance, Blue Pill gives a lot of
Well,
bonus to active shield.
Well, can I go out there and use drugs without having? I mean, everything in Eve requires that you train for it. Like, can I just go out there and use them willy-nilly?
You can, however, there is skills in the game that make it that you have a lower chance of side effects.
yeah.
What are so the side effects? They make them bad. Like they
Yes.
make it worse.
Well,
So,
I just took an exile. I took a strong exile, which is a 30% increase to my rep amount. And let me see if I can find it here. So you have different synth. You can actually carry an empire, can't you? You can carry synth and empire.
Yeah, synth is completely legal. Synth is also the booster type, lower booster type. It has really low bonuses. Sometimes it's worth it, and it's legal, and you do not get any side effects from it. And if you go above that in level, so to standard and improved, I think is the other one.
Yeah, and then strong. Yep.
Yeah, those are all illegal in Empire space. You will be asked in a friendly manner to hand over your contraband if you have them in cargo.
what if you don't?
Then you will lose a faction standing to the police.
Oh no!
Well, if he's clicked no, won't they actually blow you up? I think, or something. I know. If you just hand it over, if you just hand it over, they just let you go. They take it out of your cargo and they fine you, and then you lose some standing. But if you click yes, I think they actually like arrest you.
The one thing you can do to get around this is if you're operating out of a market hub, you can just consume your drugs there, or you can have a stash in low sec with drugs there, and you will often find that like border systems sell drugs more often than like central systems.
Yeah. So what you guys saw me do was I actually took the drug before we left. That way I wouldn't have to worry about getting caught with it. You can get through with it. Like if you have an insta warp ship or something that can warp cloak, you can get past the Concord and the drug scanner people. So you can do that.
So if you're on drugs, then essentially you're safe.
Yes, if you take them before you undock, you're safe.
Okay.
But what we were talking about earlier with the side effects here, if you look at the strong, I had a chance to get an armor hit point penalty, a turret tracking penalty, a missile explosion velocity, or capacity penalty. So I mean, a lot of those are actually hefty penalties for the ship I'm flying, because I'm flying a Comet and I need capacitor for all of my modules basically. And one of the biggest issues you have with the Comet is running out of capacitor in the middle of a fight with running your reps and everything. So if I would have gotten that penalty, it would have been hurting, as well as the armor hit point or the tracking penalty. So I actually got really lucky, and I got the missile explosion velocity penalty, which is only 24% because I have the skills that reduce it. Unfortunately, the skills that reduce the penalties is a rather expensive skills set. It's neurotoxin recovery and neurotoxin control, and I think one of them costs about 200 mil.
Yeah. So it's not something that a new pilot is really going to afford right off the bat.
If you have friends in high places, and of course these synth boosters, they are legal, and I give like a 3% bonus to
3%.
whatever you want.
Yeah, 3% compared to 10% for the lowest illegal one.
Yeah, so if you're saying, okay, this 3% implant is worth my investment, and a synth booster, which is like $1 million disc or something, probably worth it. But like the one thing about Laz, what you just did with like popping the pill in station is that you lose like effective time on that pill because you're traveling to the area of you want to do PvP in, and then well, by the time you get there, you have like 15 minutes already used up.
Yeah, exactly. And someone asked in chat, is there a way to reduce the penalty? And it is neurotoxin control, the skill that I was showing here. Neurotoxin control, it reduces the effect of the penalties that you get. And then recovery, I believe, what does recovery do? Negate the side effects typically. I think recovery reduces the chance that you actually get a negative side effect.
Yeah. But they're both not sold by NPCs in HiSec because, well, it's considered illegal to do drug things.
Yeah, that's 200 mil for one of the skill books. I think the second skill book is 65-ish, 65 mil. I think.
Yeah, it's been ages since I bought those books, but those prices seem right.
Where are you going?
I'm going.
Who's that? Sure.
Yeah, so I think that all in all, it seems that drugs are good, and what's it called are good, and I think that overall newbies should just try from the bottom and work their way up. For the most part, I mean, there's never like you can always start and get better, and I think the most common thing is just kind of going out there and trying it and not being afraid to die over and over again, and then just keep learning from your mistakes.
That's one thing you should always be having in the back of your head. You should also, in a way, have to learn how to die and not be completely distraught over it anymore. That's it. You're never going to play a PvP style of Eve and never lose a ship ever. That's just not gonna happen.
No, I lose 4 out of 5 ships whenever I go out in PvP. Yeah. Usually 5 out of 5, to be honest here.
What's your kill death ratio, Laz? Come on.
My kill death ratio is extremely high because I'm FC.
Oh yeah, that's true.
Yeah. Well, but if you look at like experienced solo PvPers who've been playing the game for 8 years, 9 years, whatever, you will still find that they lose a lot of ships. But partly that is because they take fights that are challenging to them because they want the challenge. And part of it is just luck of the draw and maybe just making a mistake and getting punished for it.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's like I'm getting better, and a lot of my 1v1 fights now I'm actually winning. My problem is actually finding those 1v1 fights lately.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, you have the experience to realize that you shouldn't be firing void ammo at a target which is way out of range, that sort of thing. And that sort of basic knowledge is already worth a ton, to be honest. And that's going to make your solo or small gang engagements a lot more fluid.
Well, and I guess let's probably jump into some of the small scale stuff like gang PvP. If you're going to be flying in, let's say a 5-man gang, if you're playing a 5-man gang with your friends, what type of ships do you want to bring? Like, do you want to bring like dedicated ships to certain things, or do you just want to say bring whatever you want to fly?
I think you should always have a theme of some sort if you go out as a group, unless you make the conscious choice to go kitchen sink and not have too high expectations about it, which is kind of like when you do like drunk roams with people, and then you will just take something and you will probably have like just make it battle cruiser or below, something like that, and go out, have some fun, kill some dudes. But generally, you want some kind of theme. So you could go kiting, for instance, which is a common theme to have. So you should fit your ships for a lot of speed, plenty of long range damage. You could
go ahead.
Yeah, go. No.
So just someone just add in chat. The one crazy monkey. What's a kitchen sink fleet? A kitchen sink fleet is basically whatever you have in station. Just undock it. Doesn't matter how it's fit, and let's fly it. That's basically kitchen sink.
It's usually just mixed armor and shield, so there's not like one ship type where people say we're gonna bring this type of logi and rep these types of ships. Everybody's going different speeds, and it's just crazy. Janoris had a really interesting question too, or he pointed something out that a lot of people that seem to stream solo PvP on Twitch end up getting blobbed, and it just doesn't seem fun to undock and do that. But to that point, there's a lot of streamers that come to places like Declan or places where there's a lot of people, and if the people there know that they're being streamed, they probably will bring a fleet and
Hey,
blob
Thecla,
the shit out of them.
Can I kill a Thrasher with a comet?
Yeah. You're like, are you real comet or not?
Yeah, I'm the rail with ancillary and transverse.
Yeah, you should. As long as you don't get scram webbed, you should be fine.
Yeah, just if anybody wants to solo PvP while there's a lot of targets in Declan, just don't come to Declan.
I think you have range control on him anyhow, Laz, but you should be aware of Artie Fresher just killing you in like 3 shots.
We'll see. We'll see. We'll see.
Oh my gosh, you're gonna invade? Are you gonna go take a fight?
Yeah, we're going in. We're going in. Going in.
You maybe should be putting your damage control on.
It's on.
All right. Stream is delayed, of course. So let's observe Laz here.
There he goes. He's taking the gate.
Some delayed commentary.
This is gonna be really late commentary.
Yeah. So.
Oh god, I forgot to put my drones out.
So the Thrasher was waiting for him on the beacon. That would suggest he's autocannon, so close range damage.
Oh man, I think you're going down, Les.
Nah, we got this. We got this. We got this, boys.
On stream, you're not scrammed.
I'm also not MWD fit.
Yeah.
How long is
he's
the
dead.
delay?
He's dead. It's like 15 seconds. Whatever the standard
15 to
Twitch
20
is.
seconds usually default delay. So.
Overheat your drones.
So you kill him, right, Laz?
Yeah, he's dead.
All right.
He's dead now.
So on stream, he only webbed you. So that would suggest he's like double web.
Huh. Good job, Les.
We did it, boys.
Yeah. So he barely ate into your structure buffer as well.
Mm-hmm.
So you have like hull plating on there. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm running. No, I'm not running hull plates.
Okay. So you're just running the armor fit.
Let me get safe real quick, and then I'll show you.
Looks like you're like.
Yeah, he was
I
double.
don't see your passive mods.
I think he was double web.
I will tell you his exact fit. He was artillery fit, 250 millimeter artillery.
Yeah.
And
yeah, so he's using the bluff point. So
yeah.
There's nothing there preventing Laz from warping off if he gets into trouble. But a lot of people will just assume they're warp scrambled in some sort of way and just never even try to warp off. So what the Thrasher does in that sense is demobilize him, 2 webs, have some sort of way to either get away from his target or close in, so his artillery does maximum damage. The double webs work there as well, and to just volley through active tanks.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, the active tank can recover HP, but if you're doing so much damage in one shot, you just eat through entire buffers of shield, armor, and structure.
The guy just said in local that he burned his guns out on me. So,
that's one.
That's why the damage is coming.
Destroyer. Yeah.
That's another really important skill that new pilots need to get into is thermodynamics. You gotta have the ability to overheat your guns.
Yeah. And that's something you need to practice with as well, because it's especially in destroyers, because they have so many guns. It's really easy to burn your guns out, and it's really easy to forget that you have your micromorph drive running on these and just burn out the environment. So,
good point. Yeah. Satonia, I didn't notice this, but Satonia just pointed out in chat that he had trimmer loaded. Yeah, he had trimmer.
Oh man.
Yeah. So guys, trimmer is low long range damage, which is lower DPS. If he would have had actual proper damage ammo in there, I might have died in that second volley, because his first 2 volleys put me into.
Fusion did he have fusion?
Yeah. Let me look. He had Yeah, no. He had EMP. He didn't. He wasn't even. No, he had fusion. He had fusion. Yeah.
Yeah, fusion would have been the ammo type there.
Unless he swapped. I mean, unless he swapped when I get to range, or maybe he was expecting me to fit it tracking his disruptor. I don't know. I don't know what he was thinking. I need a dock and repair.
That looks really fun. I kind of want to go to the faction warfare and do that.
You kidding me? Typically in Tama, you never find a fight like that.
Yeah, there's a couple of hotspots you should probably be avoiding if you just like starting out. That's really kind of easy to figure out due to just asking people who are experienced in the field, or just checking like what sort of system consistently has a lot of kills, and then maybe even checking like every kill here is one guy getting blown up by 10 other guys. Maybe I shouldn't be here.
Oh, and like Satonia said, there was no, like, with him sitting on the warping point, like when I warped in, I was 3 kilometers away from him. So there was no reason for him to ever have that much or have long range ammo loaded. And like Satonia was saying, is even with the close range ammo, he's able to hit out to scram range anyways. So the only reason he should have trimmer loaded is if he's trying to kill a slicer or something.
But slicer would be less tanky than your comet as well. So
yeah,
be able to just kill it before you got to range.
That's true. With the double webs and stuff, maybe.
Yeah. Of course, it takes a little while to lock, but then again, double web is a lot of slowdown.
I was able to maintain 8 kilometer range, no problem. He wasn't moving, I don't think.
Yeah. Now he could have moved. He had the afterburner, so.
Right.
But yeah, that's not a really common Thrasher fit, I would think, because you're not running any scrambling or there, so people can just get away from you if they want to.
Yeah, well, I mean, there is the Manio and the.
The Manio is fantastic still. Maybe it's not like viable as viable as it used to be, but it's just a great concept. So for the newer people, the Manio is a invention that is a Enyo assault frigate with maximum damage fit, so it's neutron blasters, hobgoblin drone, and a rocket launcher even if you use fitting implants. Then you have a micro warp drive to get into range. You have 2 webs to fully immobilize your target. You have no scrambler because you have no mid slots left. And the idea is just warp into a guy, approach him with micro warp drive as fast as you can, overheat everything you have, and kill him because you have like 500 DPS. It's become a lot more problematic, I guess, in a landscape which has a lot of tech-free destroyers, which are generally kind of tanky, and probably you cannot take them in an Enyo with.
Fuck. Sorry, I forgot to repair.
You've got. Oh, you still have heat damage.
Yeah, no, I get structure damage too. But by the way, guys, well, since I already interrupted Thecla, to jump in there real quick, guys, if you need help as well, you can also join the EV's Easy Pub channel, IEIPUB. It's a pretty good place to get information. All right, let's go back and repair. Okay.
Yeah, that little structure damage is well.
It's more the module damage.
Yeah, the heat damage, especially on your armor repair, you kind of want to back.
Yeah, so guys, I meant to show you guys my fit before I undocked. But basically, this is my fit here. It's actually, I think Thecla gave this to me when I first started streaming. Gave me this fit. It's really, really good. It's probably my favorite fit for the Federation Navy Comet. And it's.
I think I may have stolen it from Sard.
Maybe.
At that time, so that's one of the first times you went to stream solo, and I just sent you this fitting because that's one of the top rated fittings at that time. And right now, I would guess it's you can also do like the same fitting, but you fit like hull buffer on top of it instead of armor.
Oh, really? Interesting. Yep. Like so you would fit a bulkhead instead of like the ancillary, or?
No, you keep the ancillary, but and then you go for a hull buffer
instead of damage mods.
No, the hull buffer is the rigs.
Yeah, no, that's what I have that fit. Yeah, my current fit is triple Tech 2 transverse bulkheads.
Yeah, so I misunderstood.
Okay.
So yeah, this is the fit.
Yeah, Tech 2 transverse bulkheads, then 150 rails and a small newt.
Yeah. So yeah, considering you had that whole buffer, this Thrasher was actually not even close to killing you because there's a lot of hit points left in your structure. So you have like the over 1,000 hit points in structure plus 60% resist across the board with the damage control on. So.
And I also have a 30% rep bonus.
Yeah.
That's the
without a Exile
fatalities,
pill,
yeah.
you would have had a bunch more structure damage, I guess, in that fight.
Yeah, I've got 1,800 structure compared to my 875 armor, guys. If you want a comparison, that's with the Tech 2 rigs there, and the Tech 2 rigs cost about $2 million each, and they're completely worth it on this fit.
Yeah,
and seeing that police comet really makes me yearn for the old police Megathron that existed for like a day.
Oh, they've got the police Kronos, which someone on stream.
Oh, they have a police Kronos?
Yes, I was donated the police Kronos skin, so I promised I'd do a Kronos roam. I just gotta make some misc for it. I gotta make some misc so I can afford a Kronos.
Wow.
Yeah, man, this
really fun.
This is the best skin. You should, if you're gonna fly the Federation Navy Comet, you should always use the police skin.
And you should have a Kronos as your backup.
Yes.
Just in case.
Well, the dream is the police Erebus. The police Erebus.
Well, you
guys
did
want to
have
hear about
briefly,
that?
right?
What?
You did have that briefly, or didn't you? Did you not log into your Titan that day?
Wait, they made a police Erebus skin?
I don't know, but there was a bug that you could apply any skin to any ship.
Oh, I'm so sad now.
Oh yeah, you didn't know about that?
No.
When the skins first came, that's why I said the police Megathron, because like when the skins first came out, you could like apply them to anything. Like it was great. So
I'm so sad.
You could have a Blood Raider Ferox or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh man.
They were great.
I missed the ability to have a police Erebus.
Yep. So.
All right. So, I guess let's get some questions. And you guys have any questions in chat about solo PvP fits, gang PvP fits, about EVE in general? Anything you guys go and drop into chat here? Thanks so much to Thecla for coming in and filling in for Fintaro, which apparently he had some issues with guests coming over and couldn't make it on. And also thanks to Portbuck. Portbuck, always awesome. Always asks the best newbie questions.
I do have another newbie question. What is brick tanking? Because people say that a lot, and if you're a newbie, you don't really know what that means. So, what is it?
A brick tank would pretty much means that you have fitted as much raw hit points and resistance as possible. So basically, you're just a giant brick of not moving. So
a not moving brick.
Yeah, you could be moving, but you sacrifice almost everything you have just to fit tank, and more tank.
Do you put tank in your lows and highs, or are you just doing one or the other? I mean, in your shield and armor slots, or are you just doing them in the shield?
I mean, there's a few different, like...
Yeah, it really depends.
Like, a lot of people call it different things.
Like, yeah.
Like the Navy Brutix. The Navy Brutix I would consider a brick tank ship, because basically you just pile on the whole tank, and then you do nothing but DPS. Like, I would consider that a brick tank ship.
Yeah. Eventually, it also starts to mean like, okay, this ship has a lot more HP than the most common fits for that ship type have. So, for instance, that Navy Brutix, which has like 4 bulkheads on it.
Can I kill two Navy hook bills versus me?
If they know what they're doing, you probably should die.
We'll find out.
Hook bills are really uncommon.
This is going to go so badly.
I really like hook bills because they can fit tracking disruption in their mid slots, because they have a lot of mid slots. Tracking disruption is awful.
They're not here.
Oh man.
Yeah.
Don't they know it's the space police?
I will add one thing to like a couple of minutes ago about overheating. So yeah, it's really good to train that overheating skill, which is thermodynamics, but managing that heat properly, so managing your modules and knowing when to stop it is probably in the end more worth your training. And to do that, I would heavily recommend that you use not mouse clicks to manage your module, but shortcuts. So keyboard shortcuts, and probably I would also recommend that you do not use like the F1, F2, etc. keys. Just make your own remap. Make it more like a scheme for any sort of shooter, which
No,
like WASD kind of keys.
having good hotkeys has been so important. Like for me when I first started not using hotkeys, and me now when I'm actually using hotkeys, things are so much more fluid. And I actually use the Razer Naga because of all the buttons on it. And basically, my first set of modules, my highs is F1 through F6, and I have F1 through F6 bound to my Naga. And then if I hold down Shift and I press the same key to actually activate the module, it overheats it. That way you can just memorize that one button, and then hitting Shift will overheat.
I had some questions in chat. Somebody was asking, explain fighting at optimal and fall off, and when to do one versus the other.
Yeah, so in a sense, you have to have some knowledge. So say Laz was against that arty fresher, but that arty fresher didn't have two webs, which is so immobilizing. What Laz can do is realize, okay, this fresher optimal is like 10k or whatever, and you can abuse that fact that he has artillery with a high optimal, because that the trade-off for that is low tracking. So it goes into the tracking discussion as well. But like optimal fall-off especially becomes relevant. Say you have assignable, for instance. That's the pirate cruiser. That fits mostly autocannons. Well, you can do artillery fits, but you will often see them with autocannons. And you can completely fight, as they call it, in fall-off with those autocannons, because the amount of fall-off range that ship has is a lot. So you can be outside of optimal, but still apply a good amount of your damage, and actually do keep yourself safe because you're at range, but still do damage in fall off, or fight in fall off as they call it. And well, autocannons are the prime example for it. Like blasters kind of work that way as well, because say in this fight Laz is now showing on stream versus is it the Punisher?
I think it's Newbie.
Yeah, Punisher is not a great solo ship. Let's just put that out there. Punisher is not a good solo ship. It's very, very tanky, but it lacks control. It has only 2 mid slots, so it can fit a afterburner or a micro warp drive and 1 scrambler or whatever, and it can't control range. But if Laz was a blaster ship, you put no ammo in there, you can be outside of your optimal for those blasters with that type of ammo, but still do good damage because the fall off range is pretty good. But some weapon systems, well, kind of like lasers, you want to be in optimal because it's really easy to drift outside of optimal and just completely do 0 damage anymore.
Yeah, like autocannons, you have a little more leniency when it comes to fall off, as well as artillery, and then you did pretty well explaining all that, but a lot better than I could have done. And
it's just a factor of the weapon system you're using that fighting in fall off range becomes viable or not. And then sometimes you don't need to do that, but if you need that range to keep yourself safe, for instance, then you may opt to fight at a little bit more range and sacrificing a little bit of damage.
And then also want to ask in chat, Mukin said we should explain how heat damage works. If you look on this ship that I'm flying now, you'll see that my guns are split apart, and that is so that they don't take as much heat damage, and that uses the newt here in the middle as a heat sink. So anytime you have, like, if you have 3 high slots and 2 guns, you always want to make sure to split them up. If you have 5 high slots and 4 guns, then you put 2 and 2 next to each other, and then you leave the middle open for either an empty heat sink or some other module.
Yeah. So a couple of things there. The heat does not wrap around, as you call it. So it does not go outside of the what you would call it, like the slots. And it doesn't matter if you have like a heat sink used as a offline module or an online module or an empty slot. The math remains the same.
Damn, there's no repairs in this system.
You're boned. I think the Q&A is
Yeah,
really
so-
becoming my like most favorite part of
It
this
is.
stream.
I said
So-
that last week,
so-
man. It's the best.
Yeah, you
There's a
did.
question. Is it like a
Like,
follow-up
it's funny,
here?
our numbers went
Hold on a
up
second.
during the
There's
Q&A part.
There's a follow-up here. So Janoris asks, so if you're fighting someone who uses ranged weapons, can you go in close and fly under their weapons? And yeah, that's possible. Especially if they're using like specialized long-range weapons like beam lasers, artillery, or if the ship you're fighting is larger. Say if you're fighting a battleship in a tech-free destroyer, for instance, that you can realize, okay, if I stay at range, he will have an easier time hitting me. But if I orbit him really close, then his guns will not be able to follow me around. They cannot track me.
Let's see. Derp Lord asks in chat, in general, but especially in small ship combat, why ever use keep at range versus orbit at that same range? Because tracking.
Yeah. So the rail comment you have is a good example because rails are a long range weapon system, so their tracking isn't great, especially if you compare to blasters. So what you want to do sometimes is just press the keep at range button so that the angular momentum of the ship you're shooting at is minimized, and you can just keep pounding damage into it.
Yeah, and the best example is because keep at range, you're going to constantly either be your ass ends will be facing them or your front's going to be facing them when you're keeping at range. And with that, if as long as you can maintain your webs and scrams and stuff like that, you can dictate the amount of tracking you're getting from that. Anything that's directly in front of you or behind you, like not orbiting you, you're able to actually have perfect tracking against or better tracking against. I'm not sure if it's perfect or not.
Yeah. So in regards to the ship you're flying, so it has a pretty good base speed. The Comet, you have a afterburner in there, so you buff your maximum speed. You have a scrambler on there to disable micro warp drives of the people you're fighting. You have a web to further slow them down. So what you can do actually is kite within scrambler range. So you scrambler range, say that's 9 to 10k, and you can stay at 8 kilometers, be outside of damage range for a lot of weapon systems. For instance, like blasters, they won't be able to hit you really well, but you, with your railguns, have increased range, and you can shoot them. The same principle also works for an Atron, for instance. You can do like a cheap version of this Comet with an Atron, and you can do that with rails if you want to, and then use afterburner scram web combination to kite within scrambler range.
Versus something like an Arty, wouldn't it mitigate a lot of damage by orbiting?
Yes.
It depends. I mean, you can mitigate damage by orbiting, but it also depends if you're like double webbed. Like versus that Thrasher earlier, no matter what I did, he should have had really, really good tracking against me with double web.
Yeah, but that's also a product of you landing at 0 for him. So you warped into that faction warfare complex. He was waiting for you right on the beacon.
Right.
So that was his fight to, as he wanted it. So he wanted to be just right there. So in terms of like
Federation, Navy,
yeah.
Comet, and Kestrel. I think I might die here.
Depends on where they are, I guess, and their fittings, but I would expect them either to be brawling each other or both of them to be waiting at 0. So, in terms of what Derplord asks, so artillery, yes, often enough, artillery is countered by orbiting close, but you will find fittings use double web. For instance, Firetail can do artillery combined with double web, so it has control over the range you're fighting him at, and control over how well his artillery tracks. And the one mistake people make a lot versus like artillery ships is that they realize, okay, I want to be close, I want to be orbiting close, and then they take a straight line to go at that ship to go into that close orbit as fast as possible. And then you just find yourself just dying in one shot because on your approach, your transversal velocity is really low. And then the artillery can hit you excellently.
Yeah, so, you always want to come in at wide angles.
Yeah, you want to spiral in, as they call it. And there's plenty of good guides out there if you look about how to be an effective tackler and spiral in. It means that you have to a good amount of double clicking in space in to pilot and not use.
It's rather
like
advanced skill.
commands.
Like
Yeah.
just you have to
Really good to master though.
Yeah, it's a really good skill to master, but you have to pay attention to where the other ship is, and a lot of times it's hard to do if you're not experienced in actually looking at little boxes on the screen. So if he turns towards you and you don't adjust, then you can end up really or turns away from you rather, and you don't adjust to where you're not perfectly behind him, then he could zonk you if he's using artillery and instantly alpha you depending on what ship you're using, what type of artillery he has.
Mm-hmm. So TXG asks, what's your favorite frigate counter to a kiting Imperial Navy slicer?
Frigate counter?
Yeah, frigate counter. So funny thing came up. So the Alliance tournament commentator guys was Elise, Jesser, Epiphany, and Squeebles. They were streaming from the on Thursday, I think it was, from the CCP office, and they were out in space in Losec, just goofing around a bit, streaming it all. And at one point, Cheshire found himself in a pulse laser microwarp drive kiting slicer. And then he was engaged by another slicer, but that other slicer ended up being a beam slicer. And Cheshire was like, nope, do not want. And he just decided to disengage really rapidly. So a ship that has better projection than that slicer, so you have longer range on your weapons, you can kill them, chase them off. So light missile ships, beam slicer, another pulse slicer, but fitted for longer range. You can use tricks to break his orbit and just annihilate him with close range damage. If you have really fast drones, you can really annoy him. A tracking disruptor versus a slicer is really strong because, well, all his damage is coming from turrets, so you can ruin either his optimal or his tracking. So there's plenty of like ways of dealing with a slicer. You may not always kill him, but at least you will make the engagements a terrible affair for him.
Oh man, Laz, your Dasher kill just reminded me what my first solo kill was in. Do you care to guess?
First solo kill?
Yeah.
What was it? Was it an Atron?
No, it wasn't.
What was it?
I was I was in a bait procurer. Nice. So we had a time in Brave when we were stationed in Placid and Barliget, and I don't know why, I used to mine in Losec, which is really the worst thing you can possibly do. And we would die all the time. These like thrashers would warp in and just shoot us in the belts and stuff. And they would get pretty ballsy. Like they would get within like 15k, like pretty close. And so I just put a
speaking of nope, not wanting. Worm.
Run away.
Yeah.
So I fit tank and I fit tackle, and I just tackled this Thatcher when he came into the belt and killed him with drones, and it was great. Awesome vengeance.
But TXG also versus the like a slicer, you can also use a tracking disruptor as well to lower their optimal.
Yeah.
So
sorry, that's completely off topic.
Did you just kill a Merlin? Did I pick that up?
Just kill a Merlin.
So let's go into that a little bit. So, what was his fitting? Was he blaster?
I think he's rails.
All right. So Merlin.
Yeah, blaster.
All right. So blaster Merlin. He has not a lot of speed because the ship itself is kind of slow. He has a good amount of tank though. Merlin is really tanky frigate. Let's check this fitting. All right, so he has an active shield fit with the medium ancillary shield booster. He has a scrambler and a web for control, and he has an afterburner. So yeah, if that Merlin latches onto you, you're in trouble usually, because his damage is pretty good because he has 2 max stabs as well in the low, and he can survive your damage more often than not. But you probably, I missed this on stream, but you managed to establish range on him.
Yeah, I put myself 10 kilometers from the beacon. So when he landed, he was 10 kilometers away from me. So by the time he actually got to me, he was already in armor.
Yeah, but he did make the correct armor, the ammo choice here. He had null ammo loaded. Null ammo is the blaster ammo that has the longest range, and so he had the opportunity to apply damage to you even if you control the range and this is speed. But overall, your ship is faster, so you would need to do some trickery to break your dictation of how that fight started.
Nope. Yeah, there's a lot of good things, and like I said, I have gotten much better at playing this game over the. Shit, I've been streaming for like 9-10 months now. Yikes! Yikes! That's kind of scary.
A little bit of the rails, but Porgrid, were you also in Brave when they were still in Rohadalon?
I was. Yep.
All right. Did you remember that RVB came to visit?
Yes, I do. That was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
That was actually right after I joined too, and we had that really big series of brawls with RVB, and I knew nothing about what was going on. I was just happy, like I got into a player organization, and that meant that I didn't have to continue running missions. So I felt like I got salvation or something, which is really like the best way I think to experience Eve. I mean, I think some people they have, interestingly enough, developed like these player run groups within NPC corps, which I think is kind of interesting. Somebody was telling me about it on a thread in Reddit, but I think for the most part, to really get fun, like have fun in Eve, like if you want to learn how to solo PvP better, like find a corp where there's a couple of people that go out there and solo PvP, or they PvP in really small gangs, and I think like that's the best way to improve. I mean, Eve is a really social game.
Yeah.
That's why we're here doing this.
Who was supposed to be here, his corp is both like full of solo pilots and small gang pilots, and they're welcoming to starting up PvPers. So that's one corp to look into. This Rifterlings.
And there's a lot of
really
people that have anxiety, like, oh, I have to have a clean kill board, or I have to do this. And I would say that all the top-notch organizations, the best organizations, don't care about your kill board or your corp history or anything like that. They know that we're all nerds playing internet spaceships, pew-pewing space pixels. And if you find a group that doesn't share those ideals, then don't apply to join that group. Join a group that cares about you improving as a player, and not just what type of kill board you have.
And I hate these revolution guys.
Yeah, I'm not too fond of them myself, because they got into the Alliance tournament and they fielded really weird setups, and then we didn't get into the Alliance tournament, but we had really good setups prepared. I'm so sad.
No, they just every time, guys, if you're ever low sec PvP and you go to Hades and these revolution guys around, you're always going to be fighting multiple opponents, and they're always going to be linked out. So always watch out for that. So they actually brought in a Stereo, Dramiel, and a Federation Navy Comet. Try and fight my Federation Navy Comet.
Yeah, well, you probably didn't have a chance. Even if the Astro arrived first, it's tanky enough.
Yeah, no,
to survive your attack, and then his friends land, and then you're boned.
Yeah, the Astero is a beast. The Astero, which is a scanning ship, is a beast of a PvPer because of its tank. I actually, I've been meaning to actually do a linked stream with the Astero and then put A-type reps on it and everything. And,
oh man,
dude, with links and A-types and everything,
ridiculous.
the Astero is like you can literally tank 4 to 5 frigates if you aren't getting nuded.
Yeah, you can probably solo like really bad cruisers or something with that.
I'll jump in with a question here. Janoris asks. So his character is Galenti. He's been training drone skills, and for a frigate with drones, the Incursus is a good ship to try some PvP in. I would say yes, Incursus is fine. I'm not a fond of the like popular fitting for the Incursus with double repairs in the low, because that means you have to have a cap booster in your third mid slot, and that means you have to sacrifice your web, which means you lack control. I think I would also prefer more like the Atron in that regard as a Galanti turret frigate, because it is a little bit faster. That's really important.
The
So, but
334. I mean,
Yeah.
it could be decent.
Yeah, it can be decent because the armor repair bonus helps a lot. So you could do a fitting with rails or blasters for the curses and only use one run repair and have 8 afterburner, scrambler, and a web. So that's one thing we have to quickly mention here because, like say, the fitting Laz uses here with the afterburner and the scrambler and a web is really all kind of geared to the type of space he's flying into. So he's flying in faction warfare space. Faction warfare space is these beacons in space, which can only be reached through an acceleration gate, and that means that like no people can just jump in. So you will find a lot of more afterburner fittings in faction warfare space. But if you go solo roaming in nullsec,
you'll never see afterburner.
Yeah,
unless it's on Phantasm.
Yeah, you will see a lot more micro warp drives, and maybe a ship that has both a micro warp drive and a afterburner.
All right, so let's see, guys. If you get more questions, we're going to run this for a few more minutes. We have another stream coming on here in 8 minutes. Thank you again so much to Thecla and Porkbutt for joining us today.
Woohoo!
It's been fun, especially I got out there, got some kills. You guys get to see me actually do more than die.
Like, I kind of almost feel like we could probably do a stream just doing Q&A on like solo PvP and ship fittings. Like, we could do this all day for like a year and still only scratch the surface.
I have another thing to add here, and I agree with you. Probably Q&A. Even if you hang out in other people's streams, then a lot of time, just you like almost every stream you hang out in, there will be people asking questions. Okay, how does this fit work? And if you have tips for this, and hey, I just started this game. What do I do? And yeah, you will be able to fill hours and hours with Q&A.
Yeah, well, so, the important thing is don't ever be scared not to ask a question. Honestly,
I will I will add one more thing. So say that's what we agree on, kind of. So if you want to try out PvP, small gang, solo, you will probably should be able to find a corporation that specializes in the type of PvP you're interested in. But if you're not willing to jump in just yet, there's a couple of public realms out there you can join, and there's a publicly accessible classes as well from some corporations. So that can be like a stepping stone into PvP. There's organizations out there that do realms that are accessible for everyone.
This is a really good point. Definitely, if you like, one of the biggest stepping stones in EVE for as a newer player is find a group to play with. Honestly, if you don't find a group to play with, you won't play the game very long. And I've always said that. And if you look at groups like Karma Fleet or Pandemic Horde or any of the like RVB, EVE University, RVB is a really good one too. There's usually there's some assholes in RVB. There's regular people that are there, but there's also a lot of people willing to help teach you, or even just give you Tech 1 ships and stuff to use.
Yeah, and there should be still a very affordable ship program in RVB, and well, there's Affirmative who do like roams. There's Spectre Fleet who do roams. There's a University of Celestial Hardship, which does like a nullsec survival course. There's Agony Unleashed, which does like a PvP basics course. So a lot of options.
Yeah, and it's funny because like even if a lot of people don't think that big corporations or alliances are places where you can get small gang, but I actually have a couple of guys from Karma Fleet who are deploying out to I think Asa, where we actually just were. And they're just gonna stick around Pravi and do like small micro gang warfare. And I told them that we would.
PvP there.
I would told them that I would supply them with free ships or whatever. And it's one of those things where we have the logistical backbone where if you want to do small gang PvP, and there's a couple people that you want to take with you somewhere, then at these big groups like Horde and Pandemic Legion, just post on the forums if you get in those groups and be like, hey, I'm going to go out to Scalding Pass for the weekend. Anybody want to come with me? And you'll probably get people to come with you. People love flying with other people, especially people that they can know better if they're in a corporation together or something. So it's one of the best experiences you can have in game.
Yeah. Do not linger in the starting corporation. If you can help it, just find some people to play with. And if you don't enjoy your time in that corporation you've joined, just join another one. It's no hard feelings.
People think that your corporation history actually matters, and the real truth is that it doesn't.
Yeah, it doesn't.
It just really doesn't. Like the fear of spies and AWOXers and all that, it's there, but I don't think it's as prevalent as maybe it once was.
I'm about to get dunked.
What you also find is like a lot of people, like the early part of their corporation history is like a lot of corp hopping, but then they find their right place and then they stick around there for years.
Yeah. No, for sure. In fact, I joined Brave Newbies, and I thought that I could enlist myself into faction warfare to help the Kaldari out with their war zone. And when I did, it kicked me out of Brave Newbies, and so I thought that I got kicked, like manually kicked, because I had done something wrong. And I was freaking out. And they're like, "No, dude. I mean, it just automatically kicks you because the corporation isn't enrolled in faction warfare." Because if you are in a player corp, the player corp has to enroll in faction warfare in order for you to capture objectives and stuff. And I just didn't know that. But yeah, stuff happens. It's a game. Most people understand that. So
watching Laz fight Kruer on stream. So see what happens.
Is it gonna happen? This is a great way to end the stream, Laz.
Yeah. So this is intense.
I
fight.
fucked up. I fucked up.
Kruer is
I fucked up.
Frigate. Oh no, he's going down.
Yeah, I didn't notice my web fell off, and I get fucked.
It's going down.
Yeah, if the Kruer is really close to him and orbiting, then his Laz's damage application from the rails goes down a lot. So the Kruer will have the advantage there.
This is actually really fun, just hanging out on somebody's stream and watching them solo PvP.
I
badly.
You were completely cap dry as well, of course.
I would if I would have noticed that my web fell off, I would have had him. Like literally, he would have ran out of cap trying to run reps. Like literally, I should not have lost that fight.
It's okay, Laz. You did get those other dudes.
Yeah. Plus, he's sacrificing his pod so he can get home quickly now.
Yeah. You like to end the streams with a bang, though. So.
Yeah. No, I should have won that fight. If you notice what he did, what really smart on his part was he actually turned around and went the opposite direction to force my web off, and then he came in on top of me. So that's where I fucked up there.
Sometimes it's like that one move that you don't anticipate, and they do totally turns it upside down.
Actually, I only think it was the scram. Whenever my scram fell off, is what caused it.
Yeah, your scram was disabled at one point. I didn't see that.
Yeah, so
and that was before you were kept out. So.
Yeah, so whenever the scram fell off and the web fell off, because the Kruer is a very, very slow ship. The biggest downside of the Kruer is its slowness, and if you stay above 6 kilometers, he can't drain your cap like he did. So basically, I was trying to fly on that tight line where I was still in scram range, and I failed.
Yeah.
All right.
Well,
so
it's a tough task, I guess.
Yeah. Like I said, otherwise I would have killed him. He would have ran out, kept running his reps, and he would have been dead. But with that, guys, we're going to go ahead and call it a night, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Thank you.
And with that, guys, we'll see you next Tuesday for the next Newbie Tuesday, and I believe Nice Trick is coming on after this to stream. So you guys have a good night, and I'm going to go get some dinner.
Me too. See you guys.
Bye-bye.